The CJ Howard Show. Now let's go to CJ Howard.
A cold January evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CJ Howard Sports Talk Show. We're live from my apartment in Hazard, Kentucky. Episode number 17 getting set to come in front of you. Hope you can join us. We have got a blockbuster show for you. Got one of the most kindest gentlemen co-hosting with me this week. And we got a lot on the agenda. Let's get to our guest list. Going to be joined by Shannon Hoskins here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Head basketball coach of the Perry County Central Commodores. And then we'll hear from George Rogers Clark, head basketball coach and good friend of the show, Mr. Josh Cook. Then at 9 o'clock, got a special surprise for everybody. Well, not a surprise, but been trying to get this on here for about 3.5 weeks. Finally got it done. Chad Pennington's going to be with us at 9 o'clock. Chad, of course, taking the Sayre Spartans to the promised land and winning the Class A state football championship back in December. We're going to talk about the year he had. His son getting recruiting. We're going to see how that's going. And he has a lot of players coming back on his team next year. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll have Armando with us at 9:30. And with Armando, it's just going to be a review of last week because we've not had much of anything going on. My co-host this week, the man of the hour, you know him very well. Attorney at law, he's an attorney best in the business. You call Tanner Hesterberg. If you want to see a good ball game, Tanner Hesterberg's behind the mic. If anything's going on, it's phenomenal. Tanner Hesterberg is nearby. Joining me tonight is Mr. Tanner Hesterberg. Tanner, welcome back. And this weather is about ready to make me want to jump out a window.
You've got cabin fever, CJ?
I do, yes.
I do too. It's been a busy few weeks. Worked from home a couple of days where we didn't have court due to the weather, but we're back in full swing now, and the sun popped out today. It warmed up, and it's melting off a lot of that snow. I know there are some school systems throughout eastern Kentucky that still have or are still going to be out tomorrow or have NTI days, but hopefully this is the last blast we receive from Old Man Winter, and we can get back on schedule. Yeah, you're shaking your head no. I know the odds are likely we'll get hit again at some point, but that's just January and February in eastern Kentucky.
I think we're okay for at least till next Monday. And then I hear the bottom's going to fall back out of it again. So, yeah, that's things happen. We're going to get into the 40s a couple of days this week. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be good. So, but we got a lot going on. First of all, before we even get started, I got some prayer requests I want to give out because we got some people that first of all I want to pray for Robert Garland. Y'all know Kathy, my ex-wife. She's this is her nephew, and he's getting ready to have a surgery tomorrow. I want you guys to pray for him. He's a really great guy. The family's really great. Her whole family's great. She's great. Everybody's great over there. And I want you to pray for her. Pray for him. I want to continue to pray for Ashley, even though we got Shannon coming on. She's still going through some, still has stuff that she's going through, so we want to pray for her. We also want to pray for the people in L.A. because they are absolutely getting destroyed right now by fires. And we need to remember them because them L.A. fires are really taking out a lot of property and a lot of people. Of course, the game tonight between the 49ers, tomorrow night's game between the Rams and the Vikings had to be moved out of L.A. because of the fires. They're not going to play that game in Glendale, Arizona at the Cardinals facility. But I want to get those prayers out. I also want to pray for all the people that are struggling during this cold weather and you've not had a place to go and somebody just go and grab them by the arms and give them some good food and warm place to be, and help each other out. This is some tough times we're going through, and we need to do that. So I mean, Tanner, it's been weird. I looked at the every time I look at the catches double A, I see reschedule, postpone, cancel, reschedule, postpone, cancel. We did have a game of the week this week. North and South did get to play Thursday night. Good ball game. South pulled it out there late. I don't know. You didn't do that game, did you, Tanner? I believe that was John and.
It wasn't John. I'm actually not sure who called the game. I had it on for a few minutes, but that and I was reading the newspaper this morning and looking at the AP poll for the whole state. Hazard is ranked 8th in the state in the AP poll, boys basketball, and they're the only Eastern Kentucky team in the top 25. But you have South Laurel and Harlan County and a couple other schools that are in that receiving votes category that are just on the cusp of the top 25. So we've got some good teams here in Eastern Kentucky. Hazard appears to be the class of the bunch at the moment, but CJ, as we work our way over the next month or so and matriculate into district and region tournament time, any one game, any one tournament, anything can happen.
Well, let's catch some people up on tournament, because the All-A tournament has happened today for a lot of people. The boys' 13th region is done. They were smart. They got theirs in. They got it over with. Pineville's your champion, so Pineville's already punched their ticket to Owensboro. Today, we saw Hazard just beat up Jenkins 74-44. Watched the game. Hazard played well. Jenkins got off to a slow start. He got off to the type of start I know Winston doesn't want to get to when you're playing a good team. And they never did catch up. The closest they got in the second half was 19, but the game was never in doubt. So the Bulldogs move on to the semifinals. They await the winner of tomorrow night's game, which whatever there was game played in Hyman today. The North County Central Lady Patriots and Boy Patriots easily win in their game on Accordia. So tomorrow night, North County Central will play Leslie County in a doubleheader at the Morton Combs Athletic Complex tomorrow night. Also tomorrow night in the All-A, you're going to see Owsley County host June Buchanan, and Breathitt County will be at Buckhorn. So the All-A, they're going to play tomorrow night. I think they're going to play the semifinals Tuesday and the championship Wednesday. That's their plan. Now, I don't know if that will, because they got to have this tournament in they have to have it completed by Saturday night. So the goal is to try to go 3 consecutive days. But Hazard's already in the semifinals. They're awaiting the winner of Leslie County, North County Central. Owsley County is going to play June Buchanan. Breathitt County play Buckhorn. Now, the girls, the girls are set. Hazard girls are already in the semifinals. They beat Jenkins today 52-11. No, 54-11. They await the winner of Leslie County, North County Central. And then, of course, JBS, Owsley County, Buckhorn, Breathitt County. So that's going to happen. Now, in the 13th region girls today, this is an update. And Jackson County won, Harlan won, and I'll have to check my phone on the other 2 scores. I didn't see the other 2 listed on the KHSW website. So Harlan and Jackson County and Harlan are set up for a big-time matchup in the semifinals tomorrow night. Down there in that tournament is at Middlesboro for the girls. And the 15th region, of course, that's in Tanner's back door. They're down to their semifinals. And I think they play tomorrow night. They play tomorrow night.
I'm not sure.
In the semifinals on the boys, let's do girls first. Betsy Lane, Paintsville, and then Pikeville, Martin County. Then the boys, Shelby Valley, Paintsville, Prestonsburg, and Martin County. So that's at the Appalachian Wireless Arena in Pikeville. So catch up on the All-A. I do have the All-A state tournament bracket. We'll go over that later. I also got the 2A brackets. We got a couple of 2A schools still alive in the 2A tournament. So So got some action in today, Tanner, and I think the team probably was glad to get back on the floor and get some basketball going.
Yeah, and I couldn't help but think, CJ, this is normally the week where the Mountain Classic gets played, and there are pros and cons, I think, to moving the Mountain Classic up earlier into the year like we did, and playing it in early December. But one good thing about playing is in early December is that you usually don't have to worry about any weather delays. I mean, anytime you're in December, there's a threat for some snow, but not like there is in January and February. So I couldn't help but think, gosh, could you imagine trying to play the Mountain Classic this week? And then if you have to postpone and cancel games, and then you're running into the All A region that in some of these schools are playing in. So this week especially made me grateful that the Mountain Classic is played in December now rather than in early January. But yeah, it's you can imagine for a lot of these schools that participate in the All A, this is their chance to win a region championship and win a state championship. And of course, sometimes you'll see schools that are good enough, and they'll win both the All A and the regular region title, and then go on and win state. I think the last team to win All A and state was Shelby Valley, maybe back in, was that 2010. But for these small schools, this is their time to shine. And you look at how special that was, Pineville getting to pick up the win in the 13th region, and how special it was. I saw some videos on social media of the escort they got through town, and they had the fire trucks out, and what a special town that is, and what a cool place, and what a great team they've got this year in Pineville. And so congratulations to the Mountain Lions, and good luck to them as they go compete in the state All A. Of course, our good friend John North and his wife Samantha North are teachers there in the Pineville school system, and coach the volleyball program, and they do an excellent job, not only coaching, but in the classroom as well. And I've got a lot of other friends down there in the Pineville school system, Becky Collett. I know the administrators down there so well, and so I'm really going to be pulling for Pineville as they head to compete in the state All A. But just being out of action for so long, if you're a high school athlete and you're so geared up to compete in that All A tournament, because it's your shot. It's your shot at a region title. It's your shot to get to go play in a state tournament that you might not otherwise get because you go to one of these small schools. So to be on the cusp of playing in that and get all geared up for it, and then just the anticlimactic nature of not being able to go out and play the game, and then you sort of mentally prepare, okay, here's the new date and time for it, then that gets canceled and rescheduled again. So you definitely this is definitely asking a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, to show some mental toughness here, and mental fortitude, and fight through these delays and these time changes and all this bad weather. But they're finally able to play some today. I know folks don't like playing on Sunday. I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but it was sort of by necessity in this case. So finally they got the games underway. It looked like the Hazard boys picked up right where they left off, and played at the level they have been all season, and which is not a surprise. So I'm anxious to see the outcomes of the rest of these region tournaments going forward.
Yeah, and then you got the 2A tournament, and this year the All A and the 2A is in the same area at Owensboro. So they start the 2A tournament. They started Friday, so it's got to be completed by tomorrow or Tuesday. I've done saw the brackets for that. I've actually got the brackets for that 2A tournament. The games are supposed to begin Friday at 9 a.m. and they run all day on Friday. They've got a bracket of 8. You've got Section 7 playing Section 5, Section 2 versus Section 3. 8 plays 4, 6 plays 1. Now, there's already 3 teams that's qualified for the girls and the boys on different sides. Franklin Simpson, Callaway County, and Taylor County. I'm sorry, let me see. Franklin Simpson, Callaway County, Cal, and have already qualified for the boys. LaRue, Cal, and Franklin Simpson for the girls. So we're waiting for the other ones, which those slots will be filled in. Those slots will be filled in the next day or two. So, we'll see where that goes. Now joining us is another good person, the head basketball coach of the Perry County Central Commodores, Mr. Shannon Hoskins.
How you doing, guys?
We are doing well, sir. How are you doing on this cold evening?
Snowed in, CJ. Snowed in.
I'm about ready to jump out the window. If we don't play eventually, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown.
I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to play in the month of January.
This has to be aggravating for you coaches, seriously, because you can get some practice in and everything, but sometimes you can get some practice in, you can get them all there. Sometimes you can't get them all there because they live in haulers that still are slick, conditions don't survive and everything. Talk about that a little bit, because that has to be aggravating.
Well, I mean, it's aggravating for any coach who goes through it, because you can not get any rhythm. Just can't get any rhythm from it as a team. I think we've had 2 practices since December 29th on our last game where we've had every player on the team be able to show up and make it there. Obviously, we've not played since December 29th, so even though you're practicing and you're going hard and you're going at each other, you just can't replicate game situations.
And when you get games pushed to play, here comes the weather, then you have to cancel or move it back. And then you end up having to play tons of games in February. Sometimes you have to play back-to-back.
To back, possibly.
Yeah.
At that point, when you're trying to stack games and try to find a place for them, it's going to make it tough.
This has been the worst stretch of weather I've seen us having in about 5 years here. Because the last 4 or 5 years, we've been pretty lucky to not have a lot of these games canceled. These past 2 weeks has been extremely hard because the snow could have been maybe you could have got over it, but the ice and everything else, it just made it very difficult.
Yeah, from a transportation standpoint, the ice part of it has canceled a lot of basketball games that as we've seen with the All A's and the 2A's, the tournaments that usually go on, no matter the weather, it's got a lot of them pushed back.
They played some ball today, though. Hazard got in a game. Knox County got a game in. They're going to play tomorrow night. They're going to try to play. I think they're going to try to play tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Try to get that tournament over. 2 of our next opponents that we play each other tomorrow night, and that could be maybe a little bit of, if they was to happen to win, that could be another cancellation if something happens there, if it's not done by Wednesday.
Unfortunately, it could be. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're able to get that game in Thursday with Leslie County, but if they advance and they move on, there's always that possibility that you move on to the next night against Knox County.
Of course, that Knox County game is a special game because we get to play in the Harold Mullins Classic this year. It's a doubleheader, girls and boys, so that's going to be fun. Of course, Harold Mullins, you all remember him, passed away a couple years ago. They now have that Classic, and last year Hazard was a part of it. This year, Prairie Central was a part of it. So, I mean, you got to be tickled to death about that because Harold was a good man.
Harold was a great one. He was a basketball guy from way back, and it was in his blood. And every time you got around him, that's what he wanted to talk about, the past teams and the current teams, how they stacked up against each other. He was a fun guy to talk to and to be around, and a good guy for the game of basketball.
We'll talk about the team a little bit, then I'll give Tanner give you some questions. Not 7-6, coach. We're not too bad. Well, listen, I'm proud of them. They've had a game or 2 where they've not been as sharp as they need to be. But overall, I think that you have to be tickled to death when considering you lost 2 very valuable seniors. We have very little size, but we have really made up for it by the heart and dedication and playing hard every night.
I'm proud as I can be of them. We've had a couple of letdowns this year where we didn't put out the effort that we have to put out to be who we want to be, who we need to be to be successful because of our size differential and strength. It's not just the size, it's the strength as well. When you're dealing with 140-pound kids and they're going against 200-pound kids, they got to make up for that in heart, and I think we've been able to do that for the most part for most of this year, and make some good games and get some wins and move along. But we just got to buy into that on a daily basis and bring it for every game from this point on if we want to be successful.
The one person I'm gonna single out is Bo, because he's really had to battle inside. I mean, he's had to change his game a lot, and I think it's just made him a much better player.
Well, he is really took on the role of being that guy who is going to guard the guy on those opposing teams that may have a little size. He's took that under his belt and went after it, and he's done a great job at it.
Yeah, I've been proud of the whole team. I'm proud of because they come to work, they work hard. Like I said, we've had a couple of letdowns, but those are games I think we can learn from and get better. And then when we ever get back on the floor, I think we're going to continue the great play we was doing. Tanner, questions?
Shannon, good to talk to you, buddy. A lot of folks don't know that Shannon has the distinction of being one of the only people ever to win MVP of the Mountain Classic and then coach his team to a Mountain Classic championship. And of course, he played for the great Bobby Keith. And I don't know if I've ever asked Shannon this question. What's your favorite or the most memorable Bobby Keith story you can share?
He's probably got a lot of those.
I have so many. Yeah, I really do. I have so many. Hey, Coach was a special person. Besides the fact that he was an unbelievable basketball coach, he was a special person. And the times that I remember most is those times when it was just me and him. We were driving in his car and we were just talking about how he grew up and different stuff like that. Those are the memories that I hold dearest.
And a lot of folks don't realize, too, he ran that clothing store. He was a successful businessman as well, and especially toward the end of his life, was very involved in local politics. He would show up at every Manchester City Council meeting. I remember when I was a young reporter at WYMT, this would have been 2012, 13, 14. Whatever the local issue was, he had a side, and whichever side he showed up to advocate for, that was what everybody got behind. So he was also kind of like the unofficial mayor of Manchester.
He was one of those guys that did everything that he could possibly do for his county. He was proud to be a Clay County, he was proud to support anything that was Clay County. And he was a great person to wind up being the coach there, because he embodied that town and that county, and I was blessed to play for him.
So you've been in some situations before where you've had some tight games at the end, and you've called timeout, or there's been a stoppage in play, and you've had to draw up a play. And fortunately, you've been on the better end of the outcome, probably more than the losing end. But when you think back and all the times where you've been in the huddle and had to draw up a play for a game-winning shot, or maybe defensively for a stop, what's the play you're most proud of, or the most memorable play you've drawn up in the huddle that then the players went out and executed?
Well, it's one that actually failed. State tournament 2019. We've got to play to win the game. If not, we go into overtime with Louisville Butler, and we're trying to get to Noah back for the shot and everything on it. Everybody executed everything perfectly. Noah had a wide open three. It goes in, it falls out. But that one is probably the most memorable one in my mind, because we got it to the guy that could really put it in the basket.
I think the other one that comes to my mind is the Mountain Classic. The three out of the corner to get us to the finals 2 years ago.
Ridge's three.
Ridge's three to get us to the finals to play. Yeah.
I think that was over top of Trent Noah too.
It was a heck of a shot. He really just caught it, stepped in perfectly, and knocked that thing down. Great shot.
Anything else you want to ask, Coach?
I'm sorry?
No, Tanner, I was asking him, did he want to
No,
ask you?
I'm good. It's always good to spend a few minutes with Shannon. I think a lot of him, and think he's one of the best, if not the best. And he'll have his team ready for March or late February, early March. They'll Perry Central will always be ready to go.
Oh, I have questions about that.
Anytime we get a chance.
Coach, got a couple questions. I'll let you go. The Lou, you guys have moved it this year, the Big Lou Classic, because of things going on, and you now. When's the date for it, and everything there? Is that still a go? I know the weather and everything probably.
It is a go. All the games have been or should have been sent out. I'm not sure I could say they have been sent out, but they should have been sent out to all the teams that are playing. Corey's done a great job of getting that together and getting all the teams and getting all the logistics done on that. And it's going to be February the 8th. And it's going to be all day long. And they should be some really good pairings and a lot of good basketball in it.
Yeah, and if you're in the area, you need to come out and support that. Lou was a great man, great guy, great family guy. You know, Shannon, and I know Shannon and you guys, you miss him every day. And he was just a perfect gentleman. And, you know, of course, the Scott Blake Classic starts this coming week. Is that right, or next week?
Honestly, I can't tell you what the date on it is. It is this time of year, though, and that's another great thing right there, supporting the kids in our area. And you know, obviously, the Big Lou is a cancer fundraiser, which, you know, it affects everybody and their lives almost on a daily basis. So anything we can do to chip in to help that, we're proud to do that.
Yeah. One other thing, I'll let you go. There's been a challenge going around on Facebook, and everybody's been a part of it. I even got challenged. I can't do it. I'm sorry. If I fell on the ground in the snow, there would be a hole in the ground. Plus, it would take 5 fire departments to come up there and get me off of the ground. So I can't do it. But I did see you do it, and I was very impressed with the way you built that snow angel, Coach. A+ for the angel.
Thank you so much, CJ. I worked on that all day.
I saw Wayne do it. He did well. Damon, I tried to watch his, but his video was not as clear. But he tried the best he could. So you coaches did a great job. It's good to see you guys. You guys are just tremendous people over there at Perry Central, and you know how to treat people. And I'm glad to be a part of it. And got a lot of good things to come, and I can't wait.
We're happy to have you, CJ. Appreciate you, brother.
We appreciate you, Coach. Tanner, anything else you want to ask Shannon before we let him go?
Let's let the man get out of here and get his clipboard out and start drawing up some plays for this week.
Do need to say one thing, if a lot of people didn't know. Tomorrow night's game was supposed to be played at Knox Central. That game has been moved to February the 10th. Is that correct, Coach? I didn't see it on the catch SAA.
That was tentative. We will be moving it from February 10th. We have a game with Breathitt County on February 10th.
Okay, we have a game. Okay, yeah. So, but if you was wanting to see the Commodores tomorrow night in Barberville, not going to happen. It's going to be in February, and we'll let you know the date on that and let everybody be aware of what's coming. Coach, you're a great man. We will talk to you later. God bless you, and we will talk to you very soon.
Y'all have a great night. See you soon.
Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate it. Shannon Hoskins of the Perry County Central Commodores, as they, of course, won't get to play tomorrow night because of postponement. Hopefully, you get Thursday night's game in with Leslie County at the doubleheader. Saturday's night game at Knox County Central is a doubleheader too. So there'll be a lot of basketball, a couple nights of good basketball there. I have not seen you in the snow challenge yet. Listen, I've been watching a lot of these videos. Listen, a lot of people's done it. John North, he, bless his heart, he did about as well as he could do. I've seen a lot of people do it, and some of them's pretty good, but some of them are just having the time of their life in the snow. But now, when is the Tanner Hesterberg video for Snow Angel going to happen?
That one hasn't happened, but I've been watching a few this week. Did you see the one Mark Collett did?
I've seen so many.
Okay. Well, Mark's my buddy, and I hope he's watching and listening to this. He didn't have to take his shirt off to do the challenge, but he very clearly made the decision to do it because he wanted us all to know that he's been working out because his pecs were glistening in the snow.
Look at the comment.
He took that extra step to take his shirt off to do the snow challenge. So I just want him to know, like me and everyone else knew what he was up to on that, and he wants us to know he's been working out. So we got the message, and he did a good job on the snow challenge. But did I get a comment in the chat?
Lord wants to know, when should we be seeing your snow challenge?
It's a good question. A lot of my snow melted off today. So
you got to wait.
I'm going to be rolling around in the mud like a pig.
You'll have to wait till the next snowstorm comes.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to get called out. No, what was the one a few years ago? The ice bucket challenge. You remember that one?
I do.
Yeah. That one was big for a while, but I've seen some pretty funny ones this week.
Oh yeah, listen, there ain't no way I could do it because I told you it would take 5 fire departments to get me off the ground. There'd probably be a hole in the ground if I did it. So no, I can't do that. No, I couldn't. Not even close. Joining us now is the head basketball coach of the George Rogers Clark Cardinals and a good friend of mine in the show, Mr. Josh Cook. Josh, welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great.
Good deal.
Great. How are things there in Clark County?
It's good. It's good. I think we're actually going to go back to school tomorrow. So, we'll see if we can get a couple days in maybe. It's been a little while, but things are good. Things are very good. Thanks for asking.
You hope to get a game in maybe.
That would be great. Yeah, we have a pretty big week ahead of us. We're finally we lost one district game last week, but this week we would get to play Bourbon on a Tuesday, Montgomery on a Thursday, and then we just had a switch on our Saturday schedule, and we would play Adair on a Saturday. So we have a chance to get 3 games in if weather permitting, and it would be good to be able to play again. So.
Yeah, I was just talking with Shannon, and he's talking about how it's been a little aggravating to not. It's hard to get everybody to practice too because of the weather. Because
it's really kind of up to them. They have to be. You'd rather them be safe. A lot of times, some of the stuff we have is voluntary, where hey, if you can make it and it's safe for you, but don't put yourself at risk. We'll try to get through it and understand. But we've been able to practice some later in the week, last week and over the weekend. So I think we're just itching to play again.
I think everybody's ready to play. Basically the only teams that's been able to get out and get any games in has been mostly all A schools and 2A schools. Mm-hmm. And I think I did see yesterday where maybe a couple of classics, some of those teams tried to get into games. I know you had one scheduled. You were supposed to have played yesterday in the Joby Hall Classic down in Montgomery County, but that didn't go, did it, Coach?
No, that was called off on Friday. And, if you were judging by the weather Friday, it was probably a safe call. And, we've got quite a bit of snow when you start thinking park lots and things like that. I think that might have got rescheduled. Hopefully, I think that's going to be final tomorrow. So hopefully we've got that rescheduled. And that would be a good game for us. We're still going to get to play Woodford County again. So just trying to, as a coach, just trying to get everything rescheduled can be kind of a little bit of a hassle, but it's just part of the job.
Yeah, you're trying to reschedule games. You're trying to get everybody to practice. You're trying to have practice. You hope to get back into school soon. All these things balance into one thing. You got to get everybody on the same page. And the weather looks like it's going to help us out for this week and a little bit of next week. So maybe we'll get some games in. Maybe we'll get them back into school for a little bit. And then, maybe the weather won't be as bad the second time around.
Yeah, hopefully you're right.
Does your district seed?
We do. So when we lose a district game, that is the first thing that we must reschedule, just because we got to get those in. So we lost Paris last week, and then we were able to. I think yesterday was maybe the final day we were able to get that rescheduled. So
I've seen Paris play; they wasn't too bad. But you got to get your district game. You got to have your district games in by when?
The before the last week of the season, because we usually have that district meeting maybe that Monday or Tuesday of the last week of the season, so everybody kind of talk and plan and get your district plan together. But usually it needs to be before that last Sunday, I think.
I know last year they drew the state tournament awfully late. They didn't draw state tournament until almost mid-February.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this year they'll draw earlier to give teams more of an idea. Do you know who plays first this year? Does the boys play first or the girls?
It's the girls. And then this year there's an extra week. So I think there's 2 weeks maybe there's 2 weeks between the girls and boys this year or something like that. Or there's something there. There's an extra week because the boys state tournament will be very late in March. And I think it's due to Rub Arena hosting.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I knew there was a conflict there where there was the girls and then open space and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Would that be good or bad for all 16 champions? Because I know it's going to help you guys. Whoever wins the regions, it helps them out as far as getting hotels and doing all the behind-the-scenes business. But as far as preparing for your opponent, does that help you more or give you less time if you make it?
I mean, if you get that extra week, honestly, it is what it is. I mean, if you get that chance to play in Rep Arena, you'll figure it out. But I think it makes it really hard, to be honest with you, if you were to go to Rep Arena and you have to wait almost 2 weeks to get a play.
Yeah.
I think you're going to practice is that time of year anyway. It's hard to keep practicing the same stuff over and over. So, but if we're one of those teams lucky enough to do it, we will try to have a plan and figure out how to make it work. But 2 weeks is a long time to practice waiting on the tournament.
You guys got a strong region as usual. Same suspects. What do you think about your region? We'll talk about your team a little bit because you guys have been playing. You started off red hot. Then the Lexington Catholic tournament was actually a good experience for you. You got a chance to. You got a great record. You've been playing some good basketball. But what have you learned about your team since then? And what have you learned since you've not been playing much?
I know where you play a lot of youth. So really, if you're looking at a minute wise in rotation, there's one senior that plays quite a few minutes, and there's another one that plays some minutes and a little more sparingly. Besides that, everybody's pretty young, and so we had to grow up a little bit. I'll say that. Got to learn to be more vocal. Got to show a little toughness. But our schedule is kind of built for those things. I kind of knew that when I made it. I think our best basketball is ahead of us. I believe, hopefully, staying healthy and things like that always come into play. But also I come back after the Lexington Catholic. We played Cooper, who's a very good, well-coached, top 20 team in the state, very great defensively, very physical. And we didn't play very well the first quarter. And then the next 3 quarters, we kind of grew up a little bit and showed some toughness defensively. So for us, I think it's possible. I might have to coach maybe a little more intense at times, maybe in practice, push a few more buttons, try to help push this toughness and growing up. And if I can do that, it's not my ideal. It's not that I always enjoy it because it's a hard, it's hard to do that sometimes. But if that's what our kids need, I can coach a little more aggressive style at times and help motivate and help just kind of push the envelope a little bit, and it kind of helps our guys grow up as we try to develop that leadership a little more. And if I really believe in our team. I really like our team. I think our program's in good hands at all levels, and the future's really bright. But we're really trying to make some noise now, so I'm looking kind of forward to that. And as far as the region you asked, it's probably a little top heavy right now, but it's always good basketball. I mean, Campbell County's always really good, and they're playing well. Montgomery's very talented, and they're kind of starting to find their groove. And it's pretty balanced out from here on there. I think Bourbon's got a very good basketball team, and it showed signs they can be very good. So we're going to have a work cut out for us.
Yeah, I mean, that region's always tough from start to finish, especially when it gets to the regional tournament, because it's one of the best regional tournaments the whole year. If you've ever want to watch one, it's unbelievable. Tanner, questions for Coach?
Always good to talk to Josh. He's one of the best to do it. And I know at this point, Josh, you're obviously keeping an eye toward late February, early March, and tournament time. And kind of developing your team to get them where you want them to go. And I wonder, do you ever find that the offense kind of gets there sooner than the defense does? Does it kind of vary team by team, or with your teams generally, does it seem like they end up picking the offense up quicker than the defense, or is there any difference?
I think it goes team by team. I think that's a pretty good question. And, I probably in past, I guess I kind of have to kind of open my mind and realize more as a coach, just kind of what you learn every year. You get to be around different kids and different personalities. I think we're probably better defensively this year right now than we are offensively, honestly. There's games that we've kind of struggled to score, and it's just with rhythm and small basketball plays of just making the right basketball decision. And that, as me as a coach, I think it's a good challenge because I can, I got another month here, another month and a half to try to just put them in spots to be successful, not really control them, but just change whatever we need to do. Hey, we've been trying this, it don't work. We need to move on to something else. I would think this team's probably better defensively as long as their intensity's there. But offensively, we've showed signs in spurts we can, but I know that's something we got to get better at. And I think a lot of it comes down to just making basketball plays and being, more spacing. It's not really as much as sets and offensive scheme as much as it is, hey, let's learn to, make more easy basketball plays.
Well, what's been the biggest difference before and after the state championship? Obviously you still have the drive to do it. You still have the passion for it. But how do you keep an edge to still want to pursue that ultimate goal now that you've been there?
I would say just be ready to chase number 2. I think the thing that I really enjoy about it is, and I always say this, is, you get a chance to take a team to Rupp Arena, the enjoyment you see from those kids when they win a regional championship, knowing they play at Rupp, the pride in your school, the communities, the excitement of going to play in Rupp Arena. I think it's worth fighting for every year. That doesn't mean you'll get it every year, but that motivates me to see, because that's the one moment I just think when kids play the game that, when they finally won something, they know they're getting ready to go chase this dream, because playing Rupp Arena, you dream about it. They always do. And, if you get lucky enough to get to the Final Four, the state championship, those things are, lifetime memories you'll just never forget. But there's just that moment of when they know they win a region and they know they're going to Rupp Arena. There's nothing selfish about it. There's the stats go out the window, the parent, the PR, anything that you thought that was individual is all out the window, and you see nothing but a group of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids in pure just celebrating this game at the highest level, knowing they did something together. So, for me, that motivates me to, just because I really enjoy the experience. There's nothing better than that. And if I can get every kid I ever coached to experience that, I've done my job pretty well, and I hope I can continue to do that.
Good stuff.
10-2 on the year, Coach. Is that your record? I'm trying to count your wins there.
Yeah, 10-2. 10-2. We're going to have to try to. I think we're finally getting some games rescheduled too. So, but I don't know. Mother Nature might throw another swing at us here, so we'll have to figure it out.
Well, I wish she would be more passionate this next time. I hope she's not going to make us be like it has been the last 2 weeks. Coach, when you don't make the tournament, when you don't make the state tournament, you think about it the next year, what are the things you think about? And what are some things that you could have done better to get your team there?
It's part of the journey, and and it's not really the result. In my opinion, it's also just kind of chasing something bigger than yourself. Every year you want to set a goal, and that doesn't mean you can always achieve it. But if you were brave enough to chase it together, that's the experience within itself. Everybody on the same page, everybody believing they can do something, and it's part of life. Sometimes you just won't get there, and for me, it's the next year I've got to challenge myself to do even better, and but really it sometimes depends on the team you have and the situation you have. Adversity will hit, unfortunate situations will happen that can keep you from certain moments, and that's life in basketball. And as a coach, you want to be able to be thankful for the opportunities you do get. And, if we get a go, great. If not, we will we'll rebuild and rework and, do the best we can to be the best team we can be the next year. And so that's what we're trying to do this year.
And I think it's so important that people need to remember this. It ain't the basketball you're playing December, January, and the beginning of February. It's how you play the last 2 weeks of February and going into the tournament. Because your regional champions, the majority of them, come from the teams playing the best basketball at that time.
Yeah, and it's really, and it's as a coach, I mean, you can try to balance that out, but sometimes it's a little bit out of your control of just when your team's going to click. And so, we try to continue to challenge our guys, try to continue to work and just see what our best fit is. But, sometimes it falls into place, sometimes it doesn't. So it'll be in our region. It'll be the next couple of months can be really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to the challenges ahead.
Yeah. There's a lot of challenges, and especially some of them are going to come this week as you had to reschedule some games. So let's update everybody just to make sure that they're on the same page with you and they don't want to miss any of your games. You're scheduled to play Bourbon County Tuesday night, right at home. At Bourbon County. Excuse me. Then you have a Thursday night game with Montgomery County at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you now have a Saturday game as a district makeup game with
That's just a classic game. So we picked up we're usually playing Madison Southern in a classic at Berea, and I'm not really sure what happened there. I think they had to change it. Madison Southern didn't want to play us. So we ended up playing Adair County, and Adair's really, really good. So, we got a chance this week to play some really good teams and kind of see where we are to kind of get back in a groove.
So if you want to catch the Cardinal 3 nights this week, you can catch them Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Get out and watch them. His team is fun to watch. They're athletic, fun to watch. They do a great job. And, looking forward to nothing but another round of reparator from Josh. Thank you so much for being with us again. Tanner, anything else you want to say to Josh before we let him go?
No, we'll let the man go. Thank you, sir.
It's good to
Josh,
see you. I appreciate
everything. We'll talk to you very soon, and good luck to you, the Cardinal.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Josh Cook, head basketball coach, George Rogers Clark Cardinals, as they get set to, don't go to the KHSAA and look at the schedule because that schedule is no good. It's got so much movement up and down and sideways. I mean, I looked at one. I was looking at one schedule today, and because I looked at it yesterday. I looked back at it. They wanted the same schedule because they had so many games moved around because of this and that. But we talking about that 10th region that George Rogers Clark's in. 2 teams he didn't mention was Covington Catholic and Mason County, who's always there when it's tournament time.
Yeah, you talk about teams with a lot of tradition too, and you think about that 10th region, and even Fleming County used to be in that region years ago too, and they had all those really good teams where Lake Kelly was the head coach. Our good friend Troy Lee Thomas was an assistant on that Fleming County team that made it to the Final Four and probably should have won the state, and they came out of the 10th region. So that region traditionally, I mean, you talk about the Lexington regions and the Lexington region and the Louisville regions, but don't sleep on that 10th region. It's routinely one of the 3 or 4 best in the state, top to bottom. You may not have one particular dominant team, but you look, that's a region that goes 7, 8, 9, 10 deep. You'll have some really good teams that would win the region in a lot of other regions that won't even make it out of the district.
Yeah, and that happens a lot because you got teams that just were more ready to play that night, upset them. And last week we heard Coach Valentine talk about how he beat Lexington Catholic when he was at LCA, and Lexington Catholic got rated like number 2 in the state, and he took them out. And when they won the district, he said, "I guarantee we'll draw so and so." They were like Madison Southern, like number 1 in the state, and by George, he drew the first game of the region because they had lost in the district, and they come back and they, and they end up eliminating them. And I thought that was a cool story by Coach. But anything happened. You look at last year. You look at these regions. You can play great basketball, but who's playing the best at tournament time is usually the team that's going to win region because you're going to have some circumstances happen to you that you can't control.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get in these region tournament games, and you're gonna have statistically, you're likely to have at least one off shooting night. And can you survive that? Even if you have the best team and the most talent. I mean, look at the 14th region last year. Hazard was the best team all season long. They're blowing teams out at the end of the season, and then they get in the 14th region tournament and they get upset by Breathitt County, and then Perry Central ends up beating Breathitt for the championship. So that's the nature of a tournament. The tournament, theoretically the best team should win, but the best team doesn't always win, and that's what makes it fun. That's why March Madness makes billions of dollars every year and has so many people watch it, because of those Cinderella stories and David slaying Goliath, and that's what makes sports great.
I was watching the football game today, Bills and Broncos, and they had a commercial for the NCAA. You always hear that opening when the college game comes on the CBS. When you hear that opening, you know it's getting close to March Madness.
Right.
He talked, and Josh talked about something that's going to be a little different this year. You got the girls' state tournament, then you're going to have a week off, then you're going to have the boys. How hard is that going to be for these teams? Because, I mean, you think some teams may move their regional tournament a little further out? I mean, I know you probably have to have a certain date you got to be done, but that whole week, I mean, it's going to throw a monkey wrench in some of those teams.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's just a scheduling quirk that's unique to this year, or if that's going to be the move going forward. I don't know. Maybe somebody who's out there watching or listening can chime in and better educate us on that. But I would think you wouldn't want that week of not playing. I mean, like Josh said, it's one thing to practice, but nothing replaces the reps and the muscle memory of playing in a game. And it's like you see it in playoffs, like the NFL playoffs or any league that awards a bye. Sometimes it's a disadvantage because you're not playing. Now, any coach will say they'd rather take the bye because you're guaranteed to advance, at least one round. But it still could be a disadvantage because you're going against a team that they've worked up a lather, so to speak. They're maybe not as well rested, but they've played more recently and are maybe a little bit sharper. And in a very close game between two really good teams, the slightest edge like that can make a difference. So, and how these coaches are too, CJ. I mean, they're type A personalities. They're highly motivated. They're highly productive. This is drugs to them. They're addicted to it. They are all about it. It's the fuel that fires their engine. And so they want to play every day. They want to play as soon as possible, and the players do too. So I would think that most coaches and players probably don't like that week off. But like Josh said, if you get the privilege of making it there, you're going to find a way to deal with it.
Yeah. And if you want to know how the bye hurt teams this year, look at your playoffs this year in football, college football. The teams that had the bye, none of them made the finals. Notre Dame and Ohio State, who's playing for the national championship on next Monday night, the 20th, they played every round. So, and then what's Ohio State, a 5 seed, and Notre Dame's a 7? Is that right? So none of your top 4 made the Final Four. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. If they hadn't gone to the expanded playoff this year, Ohio State wouldn't have even made the finals, or wouldn't have made the playoff. They wouldn't have made the top 4. And their coach might have been out of a job. And instead, they're now the favorites for the national title. So, you want the best team to win, but again, you want it to be fun too, and you want there to be upsets. And Ohio State's an example of a team. They've got the best team. They may not beat Notre Dame. I think they're about a 10-point favorite, but they've got the most talent on their roster. They've got the best team. And without the expanded playoff, they wouldn't have even made it. So I think what the playoff does is helps further ensure that the best team does indeed win it. Because this is a year where the two teams playing now, I mean, Notre Dame probably would have made the top 4, but Ohio State certainly would not have after losing to Michigan.
Oh no, your top four would have been. I think they would have seeded them different too, but it would have been Georgia, Texas, Oregon. I don't know who that 14th would have been because that would have been hard. You'd had 8 teams you had to choose from. I would have probably Oregon, Texas, Georgia. I would have said probably that Ohio State either probably would have been the 14th or they would have been one of the ones looking out. So, but yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Who would have picked Notre Dame, Ohio State when the season began? Nobody. Somebody, at least a few teams might would have picked Ohio State to be there, but it's crazy. This year in college basketball, same way. There is not a true good number one team out there. You got 25 teams that are really good. You just hope you're playing good that night you play, because you saw Tennessee how bad they looked at Florida, but then how good they looked yesterday when they come back and beat Texas. Look at Kentucky. They looked awful against Georgia. Looked much better last night against Mississippi State. And I was wondering if Kentucky was even going to win a road game this year in the conference. But now you got that off your back. You should be in good shape. Kentucky's next 2 games is home. You got Alabama and Texas A&M. So, I mean.
Well, what I liked about watching them last night is they shot the ball well on the road in a hostile environment, and that bodes well for the postseason.
Yep.
Because if you can shoot well on the road, it against a conference foe. Kentucky was a 5.5, 6 point underdog in that game too, and they just were not intimidated and shot the ball well. I think the Georgia loss was a bit of a fluke. A lot of folks are blaming the officiating. There were certainly some bad calls, but I think you're just going to have some off nights on the road in conference, and you're going to get every team's best shot when you're Kentucky. But that was a particularly impressive win going into Mississippi State, shooting it as well as they did. And that's one, when you look back on Selection Sunday, that could be the difference in a 2 seed or a 3 seed and a 4 seed. And again, if you've got guys that can shoot it that well, you can probably survive. An upset bid in March.
We talk about another Kentucky team, the women today. Beautiful win at home against Auburn, 80-61. They're 14-1, Tanner, 4-0 in the SEC. I'll tell you what, I love watching this team play. I love watching both our teams play because they both get after it. Coach Pope gets his boys after it. The coach for the women's team, he gets them after it. I love watching them, especially the women. Oh, they get up and down the floor.
I've not had a chance to watch them yet. Of course, we have Cassidy Rowe from Pike County, from Shelby Valley, who's on the UK roster, and her dad was a great coach for many years, and she played in the Mountain Classic 1 year, maybe 2 years. I can't remember, but at least 1 year. So it good to see them doing well, and that just shows you the value of a coach and how there really is. For a lot of programs now, there's not like a rebuilding phase when you get a new coach that takes over. With the NIL, with the transfer portal, if you get the right leadership in there, you can win now because you can do a complete roster makeup and overhaul in a year. So, and the UK women's program is a shining example of that, at least this season.
They are 14-1, 4-0 in the conference. The men are 12-3, 2-1 in the conference. So much better. Poor old John Calipari's 0-3 in the conference. But now I do have to say this much: they've played 3 games where they should have probably been 2-1. They've had some bad luck down the stretch late in games. But and if you'll notice, a lot of the Arkansas players that are former Kentucky players are leading them in scoring. Sayre last night was the lead scorer in the game, and their loss to who beat them yesterday? Who beat Arkansas yesterday?
Well, they lost to Tennessee this
week. Florida
beat them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But Auburn had a tough deal yesterday. They lost their best player for a while.
Janai Brew, former Morehead State and all OVC player.
I don't know how long he's going to be out. I've not heard the final quote on it. I do know he had a severe sprained ankle, and I know he's going to be out at least the next 3 or 4 games. And I know Kentucky don't play Auburn until they don't play Auburn until the end of the year, last game of the regular season. So that game's that's at Rutgers. No, that's the last home game for the Cats before they play their final road game at Missouri. But good things going on down at UK. Let's see. I put a lot of notes in here. Let me give my wrestling fans a little shout out of something. AMW Wrestling this past week put out 2 events, and you guys might be interested if you want to. We're going to get on February 9th. It's going to be our first event of 2025. We're going to be in Corbin at the Civic Center for a 5 p.m. show. And then on April 12th, we're going to have our big show, one of our big shows of the year, the Weekend of Champions at Breathitt County High School. That's going to be a 7 o'clock show on April 12th. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Now joining us is a very good person, the head football coach of the Sayre Spartans, Class A state champion Sayre Spartans, Mr. Chad Pennington. Coach, congratulations, and I'm tickled to death for you, and I'm so excited.
Hey, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been surreal, to be honest with you, CJ. It's been something that you just work hard to provide a good experience for your boys, for your kids, for your families, and then when you get a bite at that apple, you hope you can take a full bite of it, and we were able to, and be able to win the Class 1A state championship was really, really sweet.
I loved it for you. I told my brother Dan, I said, I want them to win it so bad because he's worked so hard since he's been there, and he's got those kids come. You took a team that when you first got them, Coach, you had to. They was not 0-10, 0-11, wasn't competitive. Now you got them to a point. Now you guys are one of the top teams, and it all paid off this year.
It did, and I thought a couple things about this season. First of all, with our schedule, when we did our schedule 2 years ago, we were a 5-6 team, and I always try to make sure that our schedule is competitive, but it also makes sense. And going into this year, it looked like that our program was on the rise, and a lot of the programs that we had scheduled were kind of in that downward trend. And so, as a lot of people said, it did look like we were playing a lot of a good competition, so to speak. But we did feel like we were doing the things necessary in practice and every Friday night to continue to improve. And so, and we knew that eventually we were going to have to play the top teams in 1A come playoff time. So that's what we really tried to prepare ourselves for. And what I love about this state championship run is we didn't back our way into it. We had to play the 3-time defending state champion in Pikeville. We had to play who a lot of people thought was the number 1 team all year in Campbellsville. And then we had to play the 2-time runner-up in Raceland. So we eventually had to play those teams that everybody thought were the top teams, and we were able to beat those programs. And so I thought that was really good for us to be able to do that. Secondly, I thought that our kids just did a really good job of the moment not being too big for them. When they stepped out on Kroger Field, they owned it. They owned that space. They owned that moment. It wasn't too big for them. They knew that they had been prepared for it. And it was just really neat to watch our kids just really take that moment in and make it theirs.
You had a lot to do with, when you first got this program, Coach, Sayre football was not even on anybody's tongue. You guys were thrown in being honest, if those in a district where they put you up there with Hazard and Pikeville and them just to put you in a district, then people realize, hey, they're good. They're going to beat some teams here in a year or two. And then you started doing that. Then people started realizing, Sayre's for real. But you had a lot of great kids come through there, a lot of good athletes, but they've worked hard every year they've been out there, and it paid off this year.
It was interesting. Last year we lost 4 of our 5 offensive linemen. We knew coming into this year we would have to really develop some offensive linemen and develop in the trenches. When you play the top teams in the state, the battle is won in the trenches, and we knew that. And we knew we may have to do it a little differently. We may not just be able to line up with 5 guys who are 250 pounds or more or whatever. We may have to do it with some speed. We may have to do it with some different things. I thought our staff did an excellent job of, number one, developing the defensive line and offensive line. This was actually the first year we actually played a separate starting defensive line and a separate starting offensive line, which was really big.
Yeah.
But we always worked on situations where if we get into a situation against Pikeville or Raceland where some of our offensive line may have to play a little bit defensive line to give us more depth, we may have to do that. And it showed in the state championship game. We definitely had to do that. Our skill guys were very experienced this year, very explosive. And so it was unique in that we had to take a young offensive and defensive line and mesh with an old skill group and make it work. And our guys did a fantastic job of that.
I'm looking at your roster already for next year. I'm excited. You lose some key kids, but you got a majority of most everybody coming back. I count 6, 7 seniors. Is that correct?
We lost this year?
Yeah, and you got everybody coming back.
We lost 9 seniors. And so we our biggest challenge will be able to find those skill guys, including the quarterback position, to step in and to mesh with. Now we're kind of the flip of what we were this year. We are experienced up front and we're young on the back end and in the skilled positions. We like a lot of the talent that we have, but to be able to develop that talent and for those guys to perform at a high level, that's going to be our big challenge. So we're excited about that, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot of work. And now our program has to learn how to. It's one thing to get to the top. Now, how do you stay at the top? How do you stay competitive with those top echelon programs that have been perennial powers in Class 1A for a long time?
I've got some more questions, but I'm going to let Tanner ask his.
Chad, thanks for taking some time for us this evening, man. Enjoyed watching you all those years at Marshall and with the Jets and the Dolphins. And, man, I've heard it said that if you can survive being a professional athlete in New York under all that scrutiny, then you can do anything. So I've got to ask you, what's tougher, dealing with the New York media or dealing with a parent who thinks their kid needs more playing time?
Oh, wow. That may be a toss-up. Fortunately for me, our families have been really, really good about that. And I think it's because we have open relationships and communication with our families. I talk to all of our families about for me, this is the way I look at it, guys. It's a huge blessing, but also a huge responsibility that I'm working with the most important person in their lives, and that's their son. And so that can't be taken lightly. And a lot of times they're spending more time with me than they are with their own parents. And so I want to make sure that it's a partnership with that family to say, hey, I want to use this game of football to develop him into the young man that you want him to be. And I think that's really important because at some point in time, the game of football stops for all of us. And it's what the lessons and the things that they've learned from the game to help them in the next chapter of their life. That's what it's all about. And so to answer your question, I would still probably pick the New York media over my parents right now. I tried to take them on one time in 2004, and I quite frankly lost that battle. So I stopped after 2004 trying to take them on.
Well, speaking of the Jets, they need a new head coach. I know you still probably talk to a lot of guys in the league, and do you have somebody in mind who you think would be good for that position, or maybe just generally, what does it take to be a successful head coach of the New York Jets? Who do they need to look for and target here?
Yeah, it's a good question. In today's game, you got to make sure whether it's through your head coach or through your staff that you do have a developer for a quarterback. That's number one. There are some really good young candidates, guys that I've played with, and Byron Leftwich, Aaron Glenn I played with in the Jets. I worked with Ben Johnson before. So there's some young, fresh faces that I think are really interesting to look at. as well as some old names like a Rex Ryan. I mean, he did a fantastic job when he was there. And so it'll be interesting to see what Mr. Johnson does. I do think that, one of the challenges in our game today is that there's so much entertainment value placed upon our game and our players that sometimes we forget about the development that has to go on. They're not robots. They're not Madden figures that you can just plug in and plug out. There has to be some true development, especially for our young players, just learning how to be a professional. They're going from the classroom now to playing the game of football as their job. That's a whole different type of intensity. It's a whole different type of responsibility. So just learning how to be a professional is really, really important. So all of those candidates are really intriguing. I think they all bring something to the table that's a little bit unique.
Do you think your career would have been any different if you would have had all the rules that the quarterbacks have now protecting them?
Well, I wouldn't have taken so many crazy shots. Now, a couple of the hits that I took that caused my shoulder injuries, they were legal. So even in today's game, they were legal. But, when I look back on my career, if I'm being completely transparent, I feel like after that first shoulder, if there's one thing I don't regret very much because I felt like I gave everything I had to the game. But there's one regret I have. I feel like I came back too early on after that first shoulder surgery. I feel like I probably needed more time to heal and to rehab. But that's really hard to do when you're a competitor. You're trying to be available for your team. You don't want to be replaced. And so it's such a fine line. But now, hindsight, I'm like, well, I should have taken more time because it may have not have led to the second injury. Because once you injure your rotator cuff twice, it's really, really difficult. I had to spend an hour in the training room every day just to get ready for practice to throw just because my shoulder was so damaged. So to play 11 years and go through those types of surgeries, I feel very blessed and fortunate, and I'm not complaining at all. But that would certainly be something I wish I could do over.
Good stuff. Well, Coach, thanks again for taking time for us this evening. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about both your sons. Let's talk about your oldest one. I know he was going to transfer. Where's he now at, and where's he wanting to play?
Yeah, so Cole entered the transfer portal after the Sun Belt Championship game. We felt like whether Coach Huff was there at Marshall or if there was a new coach, it was just time. He was only 5 classes away from graduating in 3 years, and Coach Huff wanted more of a quarterback run friendly system. And Coach Gibson, who's now the new head coach, has brought in Rod Hood at Jacksonville State, who's under Rich Rodriguez. That's a quarterback run system. So it just didn't make much sense for Cole. Luckily, this is where I think transfer portal can help a young man. He's really close to graduating, which that kind of stunk because he now has to lose some of his credits. But he has committed and is now at Gardner-Webb, FCS school in North Carolina. They play in the Big South OVC. Excited about that opportunity. Coach Chris Reisert from Tiffin University is now the head coach there. This is his second year. And so he's excited about that opportunity. He'll be in a quarterback competition with fifth-year senior from Liberty named Nate Hampton. But Gardner-Webb's doing some really, really good things, and so he's excited about that. Luke will be going on his official visit to the University of Dayton next Sunday. He's committed there. He has been accepted there. Really proud of him because he was able to be awarded the highest academic scholarship that they give at Dayton, which is the Trustees Merit Scholarship. So he's a smart kiddo and able to use his academics. And that's why I always tell anybody, especially in today's landscape, as a collegiate student athlete, don't chase the logo, chase the experience. Make sure you're taking care of your business academically because there's a lot of great schools that play great football that can give you academic money as well. And so he's excited about the University of Dayton opportunity. It's a neat school. I've learned a lot about it over the last 6 months and really excited to see how he develops there.
Taylor, if I'm correct, I think Morehead State played both them teams in the past little bit.
That's correct. Dayton is still in the Pioneer Football League, so they play Morehead State every year. That's my alma mater, Coach. Used to be a big rival with Marshall.
Yes, and Morehead State actually they went up and ruined a big day at Dayton this year. They did really well. They had a nice nice season. The new coach there has done a really good job of breathing some fresh air into that program. I think they had a pretty good season. I think they were 7-4 maybe, so they're on the right track.
Oh, I want to be Tanner. Can you come get me for that game? I want to watch that game next year between Dayton and Moorhead. Will that be at Moorhead? Yeah,
it will be at Moorhead. It was at Dayton this year, so it'll be at Moorhead for sure.
Oh, I got to check that out. Yeah, I got to see that. That'd be some good stuff there. You got a third son, don't you?
I do. Gage is my sophomore, and so he'll be in a quarterback competition of his own this coming fall, and he also plays lacrosse, plays defense as well. He's turning into a really good safety. He's one of our physical guys. You know, being a third son, you got to grow up physical because you're getting picked on by your brother.
Yeah, I know that. Listen, yeah. I know that for a fact. Yes.
So
I know that big time.
Yeah, so I'm going to have fun these next 2 years with Gage because, as you know, a lot of the attention gets put on the older brothers, and sometimes the younger brother, is kind of the tag along, and now it's got to be about him. So I'm excited about that. Yeah,
you got to be tickled to death, and Gage, when you're the third brother and you play behind your other two, you're just waiting for your opportunity. And he knew it was coming. He just had to be patient, and he seems like a very patient individual. And you couldn't be in no better hands to have him. I'm excited about your team, Coach. I think I don't know what kind of middle school program you had in the 8th grade, so you'll get some good kids out of there. But I think you may have another crack at maybe a repeat if things fall right for you.
Well, we've it's interesting. I've always said, like when you look at our mission statement and our vision, you're not going to see wins and losses in those statements. You're not going to see state championships. You really got to focus on, okay, what are your core values? What are your fundamentals that you're building this program with? And then when you get that established, then you can create the consistency to have more bites at the apple, right? I mean, when you're chasing a state title, if that's your only goal, it's really hard because there's so many things that have to go your way. Yeah. Maybe a great play, a bad call, how the RPI works out. You just never know.
That RPI it's disastrous. I hate that thing. I wish you'd get rid of it.
It can be hard. So for me, I just really try to focus on, like you said, okay, what's our middle school program look like? What's our weight program look like? How are we doing things? And to be quite honest, I pay attention to Raceland. I pay attention to Pikeville. I pay attention to these perennial programs to see how they're doing things. And I learned that in the NFL. We don't call it copying in the NFL. We call it research. So I'm doing a lot of research with these other programs that I know do such great jobs in having good football teams.
Yeah. Speaking of your schedule, realignment happens this coming year. When you got the same district, right?
Yes. Same district.
But you have some new teams as far as non-district.
100%. When you put that state championship title on your back, there's certain teams that just don't want to play anymore. And that for us, we're different with our academic rigor, with the tuition, all that. It's a little bit different. So we try to manage that the best we can. But our schedule's different. We open up with Kentucky Country Day. We play Williamsburg. We play Holy Cross, Louisville, Newport, Bracken County. And so it looks a lot different than it did over the last 2 years for sure.
Where do you play Williamsburg and where you play them at?
Jerry and Williamsburg comes to us week 4.
Week 4.
We open up with Kentucky Country Day. That's kind of a cool thing. It used to be a huge rival back in the day when it was called Louisville Country Day.
Yeah.
And so Coach Jones, who has been really instrumental in helping me get this program going. He's just been great as a resource of mine. We wanted to kind of get that going. So it used to be called the Battle for the Oaken Barrel. So we're going to bring that back. We're going to try to get the soccer teams playing each other, the volleyball teams playing each other that week, and just kind of create some good synergy and energy for our schools, because our schools are similar in a lot of ways. And so that's our opener. And then we go to then we have Bishop Brossart, and then we have to take our bye week early this year because of what we've got going on at school. So our bye week's in week 3. Then we have to go play Williamsburg, Bracken County, who's going to be they're a big physical team. I thought this year Bracken County we played them in week 2, and they were running the ball really effectively against us, and we made a couple of adjustments. and stop their run game. And that let me know that, okay, we've got a chance to be pretty good, and we got a chance to, when we play a Raceland or a Pikeville, we've got to be able to stop the run. And so that gave me a glimmer of hope to go, okay, we keep coaching our guys and developing our guys. Our guys will be, will be able to do that. And they were able to prove that right. So that was good.
Yeah, realignment's going to be big this year. We got some new teams in new places. We've got about 2 or 3 new schools in Class A football. Belfry's coming to 2A. Letcher Central's going from 4A or 3A to 2. Or I'm sorry, from 4A to 3A. We just got movement everywhere, so it's just going to be different landscape. I've noticed a lot of these coaches had about the same problem you had, Coach. Couldn't get a lot of people won't play them, so they had to play teams that they have to play. They don't want to play, but they have to. I mean, they have to.
I know, and like with Pikeville and Raceland, I wouldn't mind playing Chris or Mike, but the problem is we've got to face them by the quarterfinals anyway, and so it's just hard. It's really hard to play a team twice. That's why I've dipped down into Eastern Kentucky, but I've also went north and went west as well, and try to play some of those teams. And I also try to keep it, kind of fun for our parents to go visit different spots and see different programs and things like that. We've always enjoyed seeing how other people do it.
Yep. Tanner, anything else you want to ask Coach before we let him go?
We'll let Coach go. It's been cool spending a few minutes with him this evening.
Coach, thank you so very much for your time. I holler at you during the start of the football season. I'll bring you back on. Let's talk about those Spartans. I want to know about how your summer went and everything, and then you'll be able to give us a really good, cool update on Cole and Luke and tell us how things are going there. So, but Coach, again, congratulations on your state championship. Couldn't happen to no better guy. And good luck to you and the Spartans, and we will talk to you when football season starts next year.
Thank you so much. Tell your brother I said hello. Always enjoy talking to you guys.
Yep, we will. I'll pass the word to him. Thank you, Coach.
All right, talk to you later. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Chad Pennington, the head football coach of the state champion Sayre Spartans. As Tanner, that's awesome. I mean, listen, very few people win state titles, and he got to be a part of one.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest interviews I think you've had on here, CJ. I mean, NFL quarterback. He led the league in completion percentage a couple of years. He was comeback player of the year once, maybe twice. Took the Jets to the playoffs, took the Dolphins to the playoffs. I know he's one of a select group of quarterbacks that has posted a perfect passer rating in a game. 158.3, I think, is a perfect passer rating. And he did that once, maybe twice. And then comes back and becomes a high school football coach and starts a program from scratch, and in a few years wins a state title. I mean, pretty remarkable.
And coached 3 sons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even more impressive.
I feel pretty inadequate as your co-host. I don't have the bona fides that Chad Pennington does, but no one does, so that's all right.
No, I was really honest. I would really love to watch that Dayton game. You got Cole going there. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun game. See what more? He was right about Morris State. Good first year. That coach is a really great guy. He was so kind when he come on here, and he hadn't been a lot. He hadn't been there very long, but he was very passionate about what he was getting into and what he was going to be a part of.
Yeah, he came from West Virginia, and it's a tough situation to win in. And I mean, I love Morehead State. I love all our athletic programs. But that's they're the only public school in a league full of private schools, and it's a non-scholarship model. So those other schools can do different things, can basically give away scholarships without calling it a scholarship. And so for him to do what he did was pretty remarkable. I got to give a shout out too to the Morehead State basketball Eagles, CJ. 5-1 in OVC play, number 1 in the conference standings at the moment. Of course, still pretty early. 10-7 overall, a perfect 6-0 home record. And they took some lumps at the beginning of the year, but Johnny Maddox, our head coach, has us headed in the right direction. And as we sit here right now, the Morehead State Eagles are number 1 in the OVC.
That's a hard job to take over after the success that Moorhead's had. Because the coach that was there, he left for where he went to.
Preston Stradlin went to James Madison, and they're having a pretty good year so far this year too.
Yep. So Moorhead really. I saw their 5-1 record. I saw some highlights. They've been impressive. Still playing. They want the repeat conference champions and tournament. They want to go back to the big dance again, and I understand that.
Yeah, I still think Arkansas Little Rock is probably the team to beat in the conference, but Moorhead won at Little Rock earlier this week. It was a game they had to switch the time up and play it in the middle of the day due to the weather, and Moorhead State won at Little Rock. So that was a big win, and I still think Little Rock probably is the team to beat, but the top 2 teams in the regular season get a bye in the OVC tournament, so you only have to win twice to get to win the tournament and get to March Madness. So they're in the catbird seat right now and in a very advantageous spot if they can hold on to one of those top 2 positions.
We talked about the football state championships. We never did really go over our champions for this year. So let's go over that real quick because I've got some notes here, and we'll go real quick. Of course, Sayre won the All-A. They beat Raceland 27-22. It was the only game actually was close to all 6. Beechwood went back-to-back as they beat Owensboro Catholic 50-34. 3A was Christian Academy out of Louisville. They beat Union County 42-21. 4A went to Paducah Tillman. They beat Franklin County 27-20. Of course, everybody knows 2 weeks before that, Boyle County got beat in the regional finals by Paducah Tillman. 5A, Bowling Green gets the titles. They beat Cooper 37-20. And then Trinity went on to win back-to-back state titles. They beat Ryle 42-23. So your state champions this year in football, it was Sayre, Beechwood, Christian Academy out of Louisville, Paducah, Tillman, Bowling Green, and Trinity. So we hadn't mentioned much about football after we got into the Mountain Classic, and I only had 2 shows after that. But I'm going to try to here in the next before the state tournament. I want to try to get Julian on here and talk about stuff. But I also want to bring up that point about the the girls' week off and the boys. I'm going to find out more about that for you and get you some more information. I'll get some more information before that, and I'll let you know about it because that is very interesting to know.
Yeah, that was the first I'd heard of it.
I hadn't heard of it. I thought it was – I knew the girls played first, but I thought it was like – but no, I have heard – I did hear something that there was an event at Rupp Arena and they could not move it. So it made it they had to go back a week. But now with the weather, they could have, if they would have known the weather was going to be what it was, they could have used that week, extended the week of the regular season 1 week more, and then they wouldn't have had that. They could have played the girls, you know what I mean? And then the girl boy did have been over. Or you take a week, they could have done it. So, but I think they done it the way so the boys and the girls wouldn't crash up on each other and they wouldn't be, give the boys more time in case the weather did get bad. Because if the weather's any indication of what we've had this time, February, if we have that weather, then we're never going to get tournament in. So, I mean, I thought 1 year I remember playing the regional tournament, and there was like 7 or 8 inches of snow on ground out there. It took an act of Congress to get everybody to these gyms, but we had to get them there because they had to be playing. I can't remember what year that was either, but that was a little bit ago, but I remember that as well.
Are you talking about was the Mountain Classic 1 year or the
1 year tournament? No, I'm talking about the regional tournaments. We had a big snowstorm come through. They got the district in, they got the draws for all the regions, and then this big blizzard come from nowhere, and it roads shut down. People had no power. It was awful. But they said, well, we have to get these games in. And so they, I think that was the last time Hazard hosted the boys regional tournament before they made it 4 schools. So I know Hazard was the host that year because I remember they played during the day and it was sunny day, the snow everywhere, and it was just I remember because I was watching it on. I thought somebody was streaming the games, but back then they were just starting streaming, but it was nothing major.
Yeah, because I remember one year with the Mountain Classic, it was played at Knott County. This would have been in the mid 2010s.
Yeah,
there was a bad snowstorm that week, and
They
ended up having to play some games like in the early afternoon, like maybe right after school at like 3:00.
Yep.
They had to stack some games.
Yep.
So,
I remember that. That was that 2012?
Might have been. My
12 or
first year
13.
was 12 or 13. It was around that time.
I think Jim Fraser and them was still there, but I think you had just joined them, and there was maybe one other person that was doing the Mountain Classic with them. So, yeah, I remember that though. They played all the way through Sunday. That's the first time the Mountain Championship game had been on a Sunday, and I was like, "Wow, never played the Mountain Classic on a Sunday."
Yeah,
I was also there when the the Mountain Classic was played when the electricity went out. Leslie County, the year Leslie County won the Mountain Classic, semifinal night, big storm had come through, rain, thunder, lightning, electricity's out all over the place. We stood an hour and a half to get the electricity back on. Finally got back on. The first game was almost over. The second game was Leslie and North. They had not started. It started like 10:30, then ended almost 1:00.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was crazy. I was there because I was like, I said, guys, it's 1:00. But I was at that time. I was cheering. I was pumped and excited. Let's get him won that Mountain Classic, beating Harlan. Beat Harlan in the finals, I believe. So yeah, but that was a Mountain Classic I do remember. Hopefully, we're going to have Armando. I haven't talked to him this week, but usually he's pretty thorough. I don't usually have to. I get one thumbs up, and then usually he's right behind me. Now he thought I set him up last week, but I did not. Folks, he just happened to be here at the same time that Jeff Davis happened to be here. Speaking of him, he's right here. I do apologize to him. I did not set him up last week. I did not have that. I mean, he probably thinks he did. No. Not in Brian. Brian said, "Oh, that was just bad luck on his part." So I said, "But you know what? Coach Davis was very understanding about that, and listen. It wasn't nothing you did. You just didn't know." I mean,
I have a lot of love for Coach Davis. It's all love on my side. Right.
He's a good man. Yeah. Well, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Well, you ain't got to do much of anything. I mean, nobody's playing. Well, maybe you got. I don't know if you got to shoot some highlights today or not. I do know there was some games today. We saw the 13th girls. They're down to their semis now. They got 4 games in today. Hazard got their games in. Knox County Central Concordia played today. Hazard Jenkins played today. The 13 girls, like I said, they played today. They're down to semis. They'll have their semifinals tomorrow night. They're going to play all the 14th region games tomorrow night at different spots. So we got a lot of basketball tomorrow. We're going to talk about that too because basically we're going to start with high school basketball. We'll only use the UK last since we've not had much basketball. I saw your little thing on Sports Overtime. I loved what you did. You broke the teams down, one to about 5 or 6, some of the best in the region. I agreed on about all those. Didn't have no disagreement with any of those because we pretty much know now it's a matter of we know the best teams. But now we know the one thing too, if you're not playing the best basketball, you can be the best team and still get beat. We've seen that get beat.
Right.
So, I mean, but you were spot on what you had on Sports Overtime Friday night.
I appreciate that. When there's no games and you still have a lot of programming to do, you got to get a little bit creative. So shout out to the Snow for that. But I thought it was a good time to kind of overview where we are, because there's a lot of we're kind of at a point where once we cross over into this next portion of the season, right out of the holiday tournaments, more of these teams will be facing each other more. A lot of the good district opponents will start facing each other more. So I thought it was good because some of the records, like you kind of just got to have a little context too, because some of them, like, they play the same people twice.
Yeah.
They beat the same ones twice.
Let's look at your mountain top 10. Yours, because you're the only fourth person there. I mean, you have a couple of people probably helping you put it together, but
I'm not the only voter on the list. There's a lot more voters, not just me. I might be the only face you see there, but there's more voters.
Yeah.
There's not people vote.
But I was really impressed with your top 10 this week because you had both boys. We were about on the same basic front. I didn't move mine this week because of no games. Why do that? If there's nobody playing, I can't move somebody that's not playing.
Right.
So, but you got on the girls, you had Knox County Central 10, Perry 9, Bell 8, Whitley County 7, Corbin 6, South 5, Pulaski 4, Knox Central 3, Johnson Central 2, and North Laurel 1. Perfect. That's just, yeah, I agree on that. And then the boys, you had Pulaski 10, Shelby Valley 9, Breathitt 8, Lawrence County 7, North Laurel 6, Clay County 5, Martin County 4, Harlan County 3, South Laurel 2, and Hazard 1. Agree on that 100%. So that's a good mountain top 10. And I would say you probably won't have a mountain top 10 this week because we've not had any games.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that I can, because usually we make a new top 10 each week or every other week or whatever. Yeah. This is kind of a funky week because, North Laurel, they had that loss to South Laurel in the game of the week.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know where you would punish them or move them down because there's no context to other teams. Like, no. I think I had, like, Breathitt and Lawrence, and I don't know who they played or when they played. I had to do my little bit of research on that. But it wasn't a lot of games played, so it's hard to kind of give it real context. So,
yeah. So next week I'm going to get you on here. We're going to break the All A down. We should have all of our champions. We should know who's going to Owensboro. And if we have any 2A competitors, they start their tournament Friday. I think we have a couple of teams left on the girls. I don't know about the boys. You'll be able to tell me more than I can. I know Perry Central and Lawrence County girls play tomorrow night in 2A. I think the winner of that game goes on to Owensboro. But is there any other mountain schools that participating in 2A that we're not talking about? Because I've got all the All A schools. We know them. The 2A schools are the ones we don't know about because some teams that qualify can play, don't play in the tournament. Some that want to play have already been eliminated. So
some of the games had all moved around. Yeah, because I didn't even know Lawrence was playing Perry or Floyd for the 2A. Okay, because I remember the game I was looking forward to this week was Lawrence versus Knott. Knott's a really good team. Knott hasn't played, on the 14th, Knott, they were, voted as one of the favorites along with Owsley and Perry and some others. But, like, they have not played that many games up until this point. So I'm interested to kind of see them get back in action.
They got Leslie County tomorrow night. The 14th region games tomorrow night in the All A. You got Leslie County versus Knott at Knott. You got Owsley County hosting JBS at Owsley. You got Breathitt County at Buckhorn, I think, or it might be vice versa. And then you got Hazard, who's already in the semifinals, awaiting the winner of the Leslie County Knott County game. And then, of course, the 13th girls is set. Let me find it here. Jackson County's playing Harlan and Middlesboro. I don't know who won the last game between Pineville and Lincoln. That was the only score I did not see, but I did see the other three. But Pineville, Jackson County plays Harlan in the first semifinal tomorrow night, and the other one will be Middlesboro awaiting the winner of the Pineville-Lincamp game. And then in the 15th, I don't know when they play their semis. I know they're down to semis. You got Betsy Lane and Paintsville and Pikeville and Martin County in the girls. Then the boys, you've got Shelby Valley and Paintsville and Prestonsburg and Martin County.
Yeah, Prestonsburg getting that win over Pikeville. Pikeville's a team. It's been interesting. I didn't realize until I was stacking up all the records and stuff how they've had some early season struggles. In the 15th, you see a lot of teams beat up on each other. But I think Pikeville's a team that I think was like in the coaches poll, a show people voted that they thought they were going to be another power, and they still could be. But early on, they have been in more that tier where everybody has kind of beaten everybody. And Martin County has kind of been the team that's kind of been on the one untouchable so far. So we'll see if that continues. I mean, Prestonsburg has Braxton Keithley, who, well documented. He had the 52 picture when he scored 52. So, I mean, that's going to be an interesting matchup as well. I haven't gotten to see those teams in person yet, so I'm excited to see them soon.
Let's rewind back a little bit and see if this would have made a difference. Play the Mountain Classic play the Mountain Classic this week, and you had the same field. Now you know the teams that are playing now. Would the results been different in some games? I think they would have been, because Prestonsburg would have been a lot more competitive team. You watched them in the Mountain Classic, you would have thought, well,
I sure did watch them in person. Then they played Hazard in the first round.
And got beat.
That's why I don't remember. That's why I don't remember.
But now you look at them and they beat the Pikeville. That just shows. And Taylor's brought this up before. Right. There's goods and bads about when the Mountain Classic should be, but you tell more about these teams in January than you can December.
And that's what matters the most, is peaking at the right time in basketball, because, you never want to be – at the end of the day, the person going to get the last laugh is the one who holds up that region championship, who cuts the nets. I'm sure I've had coaches tell, at least in like our preseason round balls and pigskins and all those different sports, but especially basketball, they're like, I'd give up a couple of wins during the regular season to win in March, So I think that's something that is very important to a lot of coaches. They're kind of like, I really want my team to be good in January. I really could care less, but it's not a huge priority if we're not looking our best in December. And think of like last year's Johnson Central team. They didn't look great in the regular season. I think they were almost 500, and they go to the semis, and it's looking almost the same maybe this year, because they're not doing the hottest, they're not doing the worst.
Yeah, but Paintsville and Martin County are the two best teams over there.
Paintsville has looked really good. I've gotten to see Paintsville, I think, maybe once or twice, and they've looked good against competition. So, that's we got some ARH Game of the Weeks coming up here soon. I can't say it just yet, but we have some good ones coming.
Can you tell us this week?
I can't tell you this week yet. Yeah, because I got to confirm. I got to confirm something on Monday. If it was already confirmed, then I could. I could tell you 2 weeks from now, though. 2 weeks from now. Not the 17th. I can't tell you that one yet. But I can tell you for the 24th, it'll be Johnson Central at Paintsville Boys.
Okay.
And then on the 31st, my birthday, this is going to be a nice treat. Corbin at South Laurel, boys and girls doubleheader. That should be good.
Tanner, you got to be free that night. I got to hear you. You need to be on the call for that one.
That would be. I booked that one for my birthday. I wanted a special one, so that's gonna be mine. That I'm gonna have fun watching that one.
Corbin's come a long way too. They've gotten better since Christmas. They've become one of the. We look at that 13th, we think north, south, Harlan County, Clay. Don't forget about Corbin. I mean, and then with Whitley County. Listen, Whitley County's still good. We talked about it last week. The district tournament in that district is at Whitley. Somebody that's a good team is not going to make the region, and that could end up being a Corbin or South if Whitley ends up playing them. Whitley's always good at home.
Yeah, but South has looked really, really good.
South looked good the other night in the second half against North. Thought North did a pretty good job in the first half. They got a little rattled early, but they settled down. They got in the game, and I thought South started to really, start to play South basketball.
Yeah, I think South, and I still believe in Harlan County. With Maddox, I'm excited to see, because they've had Brennan Blevin step up in place of Reggie Cottrell, but I think with Reggie and Maddox, when he catches fire, I mean, I don't know if I can say there's a better player than him in the 13th. That I think in the Mountain Classic, I think he was. Well, I mean, in that fourth quarter, he looked like the best player on the floor. Now, Evan Eversole had something to say about that on that play. But until that play, I think, he was the single-handedly bringing the team in. He was having one of those runs, in my opinion. So he's going to be a fun guy to watch along with the team. They play with so much heart.
Tanner, go.
Well,
I know you got a lot to ask.
Well, I was also watching Sports Overtime Friday night, and that's a master class in filling time when you have no highlights. and I have been there before, and in
You have
fact,
been.
I don't know if Armando, anybody at the station, has told you this story, because most or all of the people who were around then aren't at the station anymore. But that happened one week. It was on like that Thursday or Friday, there was a huge snowstorm. It was, I can't remember if it was during basketball or football, but bottom line is it wiped out all the Friday night games. It would have been basketball season probably in January. And so our sports team at the time, which was Josh McKinney, Lauren Cash, and Jamie McCracken, I was like I was in news, but was sort of a quasi member of the sports team. But those were our three primary sports reporters.
Yeah.
They staged a flag football game / snowball fight in the WYMT parking lot out back, and played a full game, and took cameras out there and shot highlights and ran highlights of that night, since they didn't have any actual highlights from any high school
Oh
games.
God. Why didn't we think of that, man? That would have been so good.
Now you have it.
It's already been done now, but I thought that was really creative. And then it got picked up on like TV Spy, and there were a bunch of national art, like it made national news, and there were national blog posts about it and national attention because of that. So that was pretty cool.
Who won the game?
Cool.
Who won the game?
Who won the game? Gosh, I don't remember. You could probably ask each one of them that question, and they'd give you a different answer.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So you can't do that idea now because it's been done. But think of something. You got like a ping pong table in the basement you can set up. You could just go Forrest Gump by yourself,
Just me against the wall.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe, man. I hope no more snowstorms though. I'd rather cover games.
Oh, sure.
And you should get your fill on this week, because the weather's supposed to be good, supposed to be better. There's a lot of games that are still going to be played. There's a few been canceled still, because some places are just still covered in ice and things. If you want to do anything with the Knox Central Perry Central boys game tomorrow night, don't. It's been postponed. It's been moved. It's been moved to February. So that game's been moved. I know the All A's going to try to play tomorrow night. They're going to try to get down to semifinals, I think. And like I said, I don't know when the 15th. I think they probably play tomorrow night. So you're going to get some. You got some good basketball happening. Should happen this week, and got some good games on the agenda. Teams that are, and I want to see some of these teams out. Tanner, I know you got more questions, but I need to see some teams out there that ain't played since the snow, and I need to see what they can do. Because you got a couple games this week. If Leslie or not don't make the All-A, you got Leslie playing Perry, doubleheader girls, boys Thursday night. Saturday night, you got the Harold Mullins Classic, Perry Central, Knott County, boy-girl doubleheader at Knott County. So,
a lot of good games. To look forward to. Very excited. I can't say too much. So I'm trying to confirm something. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, Tanner has got more to tell you.
I really don't, CJ. It's always good to talk and visit with Armando. I'll keep it short on my comments, because I know how you don't get much downtime on the weekends when you're working in sports. So I won't take up any more of Armando's time. But hopefully, when I'm watching Sports Overtime this coming Friday, I'm watching Armando give highlights and or a snowball fight.
One of the two.
Yeah, but the weather
go to downtown Hazard where CJ lives and make him participate in a snowball.
No, I ain't coming up my apartment.
A day in the life of CJ, just waking up. CJ preparing for the CJ Howard show.
That would be very good. That would be very bad TV.
And then I'll bring Tanner in to do that play-by-play of CJ. Like, oh, he's getting up.
Yeah,
he dunks the box. He puts the box down. The Cheerios go into the bowl.
He's going for the coffee pot. He's putting the filter in. He's watching it drip.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh Lord, you two are awful. Let's talk a little UK, and I'll get you out of here. Great win yesterday. I didn't know if they were going to win a conference game this year on the road, so they did. They did do me wrong there, but good win. Tanner mentioned it earlier. Probably a confidence builder for them to go further down the line, because with what you got coming up the next 3 games, you needed to win this game because you didn't need to go 1 and 2 in the conference, especially when you got Alabama and Texas A&M coming to Rupp Arena, and you know how important those 2 games are. You needed to win the Mississippi State game.
Yes, I believe so. They talked about it all week since that loss of like, because once they became like 0-2 in true road games, that's when everyone was asking, okay, like maybe we found Mark Pope's weakness. Like, how are you guys going to respond with physicality? How are you going to respond with physicality? And he kind of was just saying like, it's just a matter of, finding the answers. We've done it before. We've been able to rally before on the road with the Duke game, with the Gonzaga game. But we kind of forget things. Everyone has a little recency bias in their head as a sports fan. And you're like, well, you lost these games. And he finally was like, hey, it takes some time to develop. And you're not always going to find that answer in the game. So now they got the time to look back and see what they could have done better. And you see that play out against Mississippi State. And you see Jackson Robinson. He had been struggling with performance-wise a little while. And I feel like he had a game where he was like, hey, I got back into the direction that he wanted to go in. And you're right, because he's in the SEC. It's so tough, going against A&M and going against Alabama, who I think was like number 5 or something.
Well, Alabama should be number 1 come tomorrow.
Yeah, because I know I believe they took down Texas A&M. So they got it's a tough life this is life in the SEC.
Wait a minute. Auburn will be number 1. Alabama probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, but it's a
Tennessee
tough conference.
Yeah.
It's a tough conference. And I think
They're
that was
going to have
good for
3 SEC teams in the top 5 probably tomorrow when the ratings come out.
But how about the UK women, man? UK women have been on a roll, tearing it up. Georgia Amore has been dynamic.
Big win today. Big win. 80-61 over a decent Auburn team. They took care of business early. They're 14-1, Armando. They're 4-0 in the conference. Now, their next 2 games are on the road. They go at Georgia and at Texas A&M. So it's going to be a little bit better competition. But so far, it's been beautiful. I was telling Tanner, I love watching our women's team. I almost like watching our women's team more than I do our men, even though our men are exciting to watch.
And the encouraging thing about their team is that they talk like they still have room to grow, and it's interesting to see Kenny Brooks talk about how we still have room to develop while winning, and we're still learning the SEC, because we forget, like, oh yeah, he did come from the ACC, he did come from Virginia Tech. This is all new to him, but it doesn't look all new to them, really. It looks like they've been a power, and they talk about it after the Florida game, like, we don't want us being a new team. We don't want to use that excuse of, oh, we don't have the chemistry, so that's why it's going to take a little while. Like, they don't want to use that excuse. They want to win now while learning. One of the sportscasts that I did was about the development of Clara Silva. They have the tallest team. They have the most blocks in the country, and they still want their bigs to grow. Like Clara Silva, the freshman who's from, I think, overseas, they still want her to be a little bit more impactful at 6'7". So that's like, oh man, they're the number 1 team in blocks, and they still need to get better. Like that's interesting. So I'm excited.
I was impressed. I don't know what South Carolina did today, but the other night when they beat Texas, Texas is like number 5, and they just beat them like they wasn't nothing. They disposed of Texas like hello. You can join our conference, but I'm South Carolina. I'm the best. You ain't beating us. LSU, I tell you what, though, I'm going to be honest. Watch me say this, Kentucky will lose. I think LSU, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee are the 4 best teams in the conference.
Say it one more time. You said USC,
Tennessee. LSU, Tennessee, and Kentucky. I think they're the 4 best teams in the conference.
Yeah. I'm interested to see UK go against another power. They kind of – they face some teams.
I don't know what Georgia's record is or Texas A&M. They do play Tennessee Let's see.
Their best games are at the end of the year because they play LSU third to last, Tennessee second to last, South Carolina first to last game. So Texas A&M, I've been keeping up with A&M because I'm from Texas. You know, they're a coming up program in the SEC. So I think UK will probably be favored in that one.
What about
and
Georgia?
Georgia, I haven't kept up with Georgia.
I don't know if
but
I know they had a 10. I know they got. I think they've got 10 wins, but I don't know what they are in the conference. I don't know. Let's see if they played today. I know they did because mostly every team in the conference played.
yeah, their wins in conference have came against Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Florida, and then now Auburn. Those are the four.
Texas A&M got beat pretty bad today by Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's ranked 10th. Alabama's like 18th, and they beat Ole Miss by 7. Let's see.
So
Texas number one big. Yeah. But I was just, it's intriguing to watch because it's just the SEC women are about as good as the SEC men. But I didn't know. Did you know that they done a thing last night in seeding that every team in the conference except one would have got seeded in the tournament if they had the tournament today.
For the men?
Yeah, 2 teams wouldn't have made it. Missouri and South Carolina. No, they said Vanderbilt would have been like a 12 seed.
This conference is going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm excited to see both. I'm excited to see both of the UK teams in March Madness this year because I feel like the women are a team that like Georgia Amore, Deja Lawrence. I feel like they can catch fire in the tournament. They're the type of team that could like win and catch a run in the tournament, and I'll be excited to see that. And Mark Pope, I feel like they're a team that I could see them falling in the first round. I could see them going to the Sweet 16. Like I don't know what, because like you go against all the teams they've lost to have been just kind of very physical, rugged. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State teams that like they don't really like. They're not overwhelming you from the outside perspective when you look at them, but they've beaten the teams that have been like the top 10. So,
in the 3 losses, they've been out rebounded and out assisted.
Yes, and that's something that that's not something that's like something like completely remarkable. It's something that any team can out hustle Kentucky and do that if you think about it in that way. So they'd be a team that would get a lot of fans' blood boiling in March Madness, I think, in my opinion.
Tanner, anything else you want to ask Armando before we let him go?
Nope. Armando, good talking to you, buddy.
Good to see you always.
Armando, good as usual. Next week, we'll break down the All-A. We'll see. We should have all of our champions and see who they'll be playing. And then we should have some more basketball to talk about and then more UK. And then we'll see where we're at this point if we get a full week of sports in, which I think we will. Armando, thank you so much, sir. I will talk to you next Sunday. God bless you and stay safe.
God bless you too, man. Y'all have a good one.
Okay. Armando Berry from WYMT. Let's see. Go here. Yep. All right. I want to thank everybody that watched the show. I want to thank everybody that's been a part of the show tonight. If you have comments and anything else, thank you. I want to thank my co-host. I'll even give his final comments in just a moment. I want to thank all of our guests. We had tremendous guests last week. Shannon, Chad, and Josh, and Armando. Thank you so much for everybody. I'll be back with you next Sunday night, 8 o'clock for episode number 18 of the CJ Howard Show. I do not have co-host yet. I'll be working on it tomorrow. I do have one guest, Kenny G from the 12th region. We're going to bring him in. We're going to let him talk about the 12th region a little bit, boys and girls, and get an idea of what's going on over there in the 12th region. I want to remind everybody to go to my Facebook page, get the CJ Howard Sports Talk page. I want you to get it. I want you to like it. I want you to share it. Share it with your friends and family. I also want you to go to my YouTube page, CJ Howard, put it in the search bar. Go there and give me a like. Subscribe to my page, and that will help me out. Also, follow me on TikTok. Got a lot of good, cool stuff I do over there. Follow me on TikTok if you can. And Taylor, give me your final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Always an honor, CJ. It was a pretty cool show tonight. I mean, two of the best high school coaches in the state, Josh Cook and Shannon Hoskins, and then Chad Pennington, former NFL quarterback, state champion coach at Sayre. Great guest, Armando. Always a pleasure to visit with him. And it's been an honor to spend a couple hours with you, CJ. You're a good friend of mine, and we had a pretty exciting week back in December at the Mountain Classic. I was talking earlier about how you reintroduced me to McDonald's. You got me back on a McDonald's kick. I've eaten there about 10 times since then, breakfast and dinner. So thank you for that.
You're
My
welcome.
cholesterol has never been higher. And thanks for having me on the show tonight, and look forward to the next one, buddy.
Yes, I'm already planning to book you on my last show of the season. Do not know what that'll be because you got tournaments going on, stuff going on. I am going to do. I'm going to go into April. I was going to end it in March, but I think I'm going to go an extra 2 weeks, maybe get a little baseball in too. So, but the last show of the regular season, I'm going to try to get you on. I want you to be my co-host, so I'll let you know when that'll be, and we'll go from there. Don't leave me when we're done. I got something to tell you when we're not live. Again, I want to remind everybody, please join me next Sunday night. I'll be back with you for another episode of the CJ Howard Show. This is CJ Howard, running third, heading for home. And as Casey would say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Good night, everybody. God bless you. And tell everybody that you love them. And good night, everybody.